Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to pull back the curtain on a technology that pretty much powers everything we do online. Cloud computing. Seriously, from streaming your favorite shows to just checking your email, the cloud is this invisible engine that's making it all happen. So, here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll kick things off with a big idea that really changed everything. Then we'll get into what the cloud actually is and uncover the bit of magic that makes it all work. After that, we'll check out the different flavors and models you can use. And to wrap it up, we'll look at some of the hidden costs and trade-offs. All right, let's get into it. All right, first things first. To really truly get your head around the cloud, you have to understand the most important concept behind it. And it's not just some new gadget or piece of hardware. It's a complete transformation in how we even approach technology itself. This quote just absolutely nails it. For, decades, information technology, IT, was a product, something you had to buy. But the cloud flips that on its head and turns it into a service, something you subscribe to. It's kind of like the shift from everyone having their own private well in their backyard to just turning on the tap and getting water. Let's really break that down. In the old days, right, if a company wanted to launch a website, they had to go out and buy these big, expensive physical servers. Then they had to find a room to store them, figure out how to power them and keep them cool, and hire a whole team just to maintain them. It was super expensive and really rigid. But now, with the cloud, computing power is a utility. It's a service you just tap into, you pay for only what you use, and you can scale up or down in an instant. So what exactly is this cloud we're plugging into? Let's get a really clear definition. Because, despite the name, it's not actually some fluffy white thing floating up in the sky. Okay, in the simplest terms, all it means is you're storing and accessing your data and your apps over the internet instead of on your own computer's hard drive. The cloud itself is really just a huge network of massive data centers, absolutely packed with servers, owned by companies like Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. Now, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST, they have this official definition that boils it down to 5 essential traits. So, a true cloud service lets you get resources yourself, you can access them from anywhere, and it pools all its hardware to serve tons of users. But these last 2 are crucial. It has to be elastic, meaning you can scale up or down instantly. And it's a measured service, so you only pay for what you use, just like a utility meter. It's that whole combination that makes it so incredibly powerful. This all sounds great, doesn't it? Limitless, on-demand resources. But wait a minute, how can one single physical server in a giant data center possibly serve thousands of different customers all at the same time? Well, the secret ingredient, the real magic behind the curtain, is a technology called virtualization. And that's the fundamental question, isn't it? That's the puzzle that virtualization solves. It's the key innovation that allows these big cloud providers to efficiently slice and dice their massive hardware resources and rent them out, which is what makes the entire cloud model financially possible in the first place. Virtualization is basically this super clever layer of software that lets one physical machine pretend to be multiple separate machines. And each one of these virtual machines is completely isolated from the others. It runs its own operating system, its own applications, and it has no idea that it's actually sharing the hardware. So the whole process starts with the physical server, the actual metal down at the bottom. Sitting right on top of that is something called the hypervisor. And this is the key. You can think of it like a traffic cop or maybe a resource manager. It's the thing that divides up the physical hardware's resources, like the CPU power and the memory, among all those different virtual machines. And because of that hypervisor, each VM gets to operate as if it has the entire machine all to itself. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so now that we know how the cloud actually works, let's talk about where it can live. Because it's definitely not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. There are 3 main ways you can deploy cloud services. Let's compare the 3 big models. First, you've got the public cloud, like AWS or Azure. Think of this like renting an apartment in a huge building. It's really cost-effective, but you're sharing the infrastructure. Then there's the private cloud, which is more like owning your own house. It's totally dedicated to your organization, so you get way more control and security, but it's also going to cost you more. And finally, there's the hybrid cloud, which tries to give you the best of both worlds. It lets you keep your really sensitive data on your own private property while using the public option for other less critical. So once you've figured out your deployment model, the next big question is, how much of the heavy lifting do you actually want to do yourself? And this is where the different service models come into play. There's a really great analogy that helps make this super clear. Okay, let's think of it like finding a place to live. At the very bottom, you've got infrastructure as a service, or IaaS. This is like being given a plot of land and a pile of raw materials. You've total control, but yeah, you have to build the entire house from scratch. In the middle, there's platform as a service, or PaaS. Here, the foundation and the walls are already built for you, and you just handle the fun stuff like the interior design. And then at the very top, you have software as a service, or SaaS. This is like moving into a fully furnished hotel room. You just log in and start using it, like you do with Gmail. I mean, the cloud offers incredible power, flexibility, and it can save you a lot of money. It sounds pretty much perfect, right? But it's not without its trade-offs, and it's really important to understand the potential downsides before you dive in headfirst. All this convenience, well, it comes with a really critical trade-off: dependency. If your internet connection goes down, you're completely cut off. You're also placing a massive amount of trust in a third-party company to keep your sensitive data safe from hackers. And while it is rare, you're ultimately relying on them not to lose your data, which makes having your own separate backups absolutely essential. And this brings us to our final thought here. The shift to the cloud has been one of the most significant technological changes of our lifetime, no question. By handing over the keys to our digital infrastructure, we gain this immense efficiency and power. But at the same time, we're also introducing new risks and new dependencies. And it kind of leaves us to wonder, as we move more and more of our lives and our businesses into this rented virtual space, what's the long-term balance between all that convenience and our own control?